Hello, and a big welcome to all of you out there who are watching and listening to this podcast. Today we have Summer Laran Rushing. Um, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here today. So nice to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
Uh, and where are you from?
I am from Fort Worth, Texas, is where I am currently at. But altogether, I'd say I'm from East Texas, a little small town called Edgewood. And it
Mhm.
was named that because it's on the edge of the woods.
Okay, okay. Wow. Yeah, and tell us a little about what you're doing today with your horses and everything.
Okay, so I am a equine riding instructor, and I'm also an equine trainer. And I more so work with horses that are more known to be a little bit dangerous towards people. So I deal with a lot of biting, rearing, kicking, just types of behaviors that, you wouldn't necessarily want around your little bitty child.
Mhm.
And my job is to get them to where they can be great around your little bitty child.
Yeah. Who
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
teach, the horse or the owner?
I like to say Bubby Hush. I like to say that I would teach the owner really,
Mm.
because ultimately, Bubby. So sorry, Bubby. Let me put my dog outside.
Okay, yeah.
I would like to say that I definitely teach the owner because a horse is ultimately just a horse. They did not ask for us to come and get on their backs. They didn't ask for us to teach them how to do all these things. And if we are going to be working with horses, then we also need to kind of learn how to speak their language. So that's the way that I like to do it is I believe a whole lot in equine communication. And I like to try and teach my riders and my students that as well. If you can learn more about a horse's demeanor and their thought processes, then you're going to be able to go a whole lot further and you're going to have a much happier horse as well.
Mm. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how did you get there? What are your history? Yeah.
I would say I am definitely the first one to admit that I made 100% trial and error. If I started whenever I was very young, so I didn't have a trainer to really tell me what to do, how to do it. And so whenever I first began, I started out with pretty abusive methods as a kid, not realizing that they were abusive.
Mm.
The older I got, the more I learned. Truly, you learn something new every day and you progress new every day. I would say also, I've had my horse, Sugar, since she was 4 months old, and she's going to be either 19 or 20 this next year. So she is definitely the horse that you hear about, little kids training that's got the kick start. You have to do something crazy to get them to turn. She's not that way anymore, but she's most definitely for the longest time. You could tell she was trained by a child. Um, and I wouldn't say that my extensive knowledge on things started coming in until, you know, probably around 25 because I had
Mm.
a lot, a lot of stuff to learn. It's it's an industry where you can't walk into it and be the person that says I know it all because you absolutely don't. And the moment
No,
you think you know it all, you know nothing. Yeah.
that's right. You learn
Yes,
every day, every day.
absolutely.
So how do you have students on your horses, or are they coming with their own horses, or how is that?
I have a mix of it. I would say certain students will travel out to my horses, and then I teach lessons off of my horse Sugar, and then another one named Ajax. And then I have a 9-year-old, but I just let her be wild. So, uh, and then people, they also can bring their horses in. I can also go travel to barns, work with them there. If it's horse training, I'm usually travel too, as you know, I don't necessarily want the aggressive horse turned out with my horses. So,
Well,
yeah, so I do a lot of travel around, kind of all over Dallas Fort Worth area, all the way into East Texas.
yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're thinking like that people usually they only get a teacher when they can't go further themselves, when the things are happening with the horse and they get aggressive and all that. Um, do you often get them when it's too late?
I would say if it is too late, it would most likely be pain related, and it's because they've made the horse sore. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah,
99% of the time, if a horse is aggressive, from what I've noticed, it's been some type of pain. Um,
yeah,
a lot of people, they kind of dismissed taking the steps to go into like a vet clinic, and really get a good, even PPE done on their own horse, just something really solid, to show where all of the issues would be at. Um, so I think I have, I've maybe, no, I don't think I've met one that I haven't been able to rehab yet. I have friends that have had some they've not been able to get back up, but I've been fortunate enough uh to not have to deal with any um that are just miserably in pain, and it's something that they can't come back from. A
mm,
lot of times I feel like it's either swelling on the horse, it's old scar tissue, um or simply it's just a response. Even if there's no more pain, it's just a response from previous pain that may have been inflicted on them by a previous owner.
yeah,
Um, it's a very real thing. It's horses, they have very big fight or flight response, and they don't have another way to use their voice. So if they have to get loud and proud about something, they're going to bite you, they're going to kick you,
yeah,
that's the only way they can communicate and tell you, hey, I don't like this.
mm,
So I don't blame them whenever it happens. I might point a finger at the person a little bit, or the person that had them previously.
yeah. Here in Europe and Scandinavia, we have a lot of things going on with the saddles and all that. How is that on your place? Is it also a problem to get a proper saddle to fit right and all that?
It is. It is. A lot of people, I would say, in the Dallas Fort Worth area out here in Texas, we have a lot of people that do think that they know everything. And there's a big thing when it comes to saddle fit, be it English or Western riding. Um, English, I'm a little familiar with how the saddle should fit. I'm more familiar with Western, absolutely. But with both, there's definitely very pretty big issues just in general. I'd recommend to anybody to get a saddle fitter out, and not just somebody that says they know how, make sure they've got good prior history, prior customers and stuff. And the reason I say that is because there there is absolutely a need to fit your horse for your gear. Like my horse, she's very short, mutton withered, If I ride her in something that is too wide, it's going to pinch her up. If I ride in something that is too thin, that's also going to do the same, but then it's just going to roll right off of her too, you know.
Mm,
So it's absolutely necessary that people find a correct fit for their horse, but that's definitely an issue that we deal with up here as well. A lot of people will try and compare the English saddle and the Western saddle, like they should fit and sit in the same spots, or stuff like that. So it's just a lot of misinformation that I think people just haven't applied quite yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you sit in the wrong place or not sitting uh, right in the
Exactly.
saddle, it would the horse would have an issue with that.
Yep, absolutely. And most of the time that's where that pain comes from. I worked with one horse, and I think of her in particular as this little gray mare, and I did probably 2 or 3 months of deep pressure massage on her side. And what it was she had had an old injury that I guess was never looked over by a vet. And underneath it, it looked like a big old chunk of scar tissue, kind of right up there on her wither. So I used that deep pressure massage gun on her for a couple months, and eventually that pain went away. But her big response as well was, "Whoa, I'm still going to swing around to try and bite you because I'm expecting it to hurt." Anytime I'd cinch her up or put her girth on, anything like that, she'd try and swing that head around. So all I do is clearly the first way to keep a horse from biting you is to tie their head properly. Don't have it all loose, and don't give them the opportunity to bite you. First, if you have it tied properly, you won't have to worry about getting bit so much. And then what I do is if a horse is still trying to swing its head around at me, I put my two fingers right under my arm like that, and and then I kind of just hide it there. And then whenever that horse swings their face around, I'll keep my two fingers out and they'll poke themselves in the nose. And the reason I don't come in and I don't swing or I don't do anything like that is I want it to be more of a mind game for the horse. Like I want the horse to be like, "Oh, I swung around to try and get you, but oh, I didn't like that. What just got me in the nose?" But they think they did it to themselves more so instead of having somebody come out and strike out at them and be aggressive. But that just even that little method of just two fingers under my arm, just holding them there as kind of a little block against her muzzle, it worked great. So so I got
Mm.
sidetracked on that one. I liked that horse.
So you do massage as well?
I am actually learning more about equine massage. I would like to offer equine massage therapy in the future, but I would also like to offer it alongside equine dentistry. So I'm actually working on a vet tech certification right now. That way I can kind of start working my way up to equine dentistry because that's going to require the schooling.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's great. I love it when you do these things for horses because they can't do it themselves. They can't talk and
Yes,
yeah. So that's great.
absolutely.
So how long time do you think in the future you are ready for all this?
I would say this is going to be a lifelong thing for
Mhm.
me. I've been a horse girl since I was a kid, and I was the kid that drew horses all over my school stuff. I'm not growing out of it. I'm
Yeah.
30 now. I'm not growing out of it. This is just me forever.
Yeah.
But I'd eventually like to open up an equine uh, equine rehabilitation facility. I'd like to do a water rehab one day. So I'm kind of just stretching myself totally across the board in the equine world. That way, whenever the time comes that I do have my own facility, I can have just an enormous amount of knowledge and certifications behind it as well. Make it reputable before it is reputable.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
that would be a great thing. And do you think there's a big knowledge about this that people know that this is a good thing for the horses, or are they more like, no, it's not for me?
Oh yeah. In Texas, there are a lot of people that view horses just as livestock. So they don't, I wouldn't say everybody gets the emotional attachment to them that I do up here. Now a lot of people I know do. My friends, they're very good hearts, and they are in it for the horses. As for the people up here that kind of just view the horses as livestock and nothing more, that's definitely an issue. People will basically do anything they can to sell you a horse that they've run down, or be false about the information, or just quite honestly even try and scam you online with a horse that's not even real. It's a very big issue out here. And then usually those people are the ones that are very offended when you try and help them or give
Mm.
them any advice or information. um, those are the people that'll end up taking those horses to an auction and selling them for a couple $100, and then kind of just go through the same process over and over until
Yeah.
hopefully the horse lands somewhere good, and a lot of chance that it might not, you know. Um, there is, uh, I can't even say how many um, malnourished and just incredibly thin horses I've seen go through sales up here. Stuff that you would think should be illegal.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, yeah, stuff where you'd look at an animal and you'd wonder why would they put this horse through this pen whenever the damn baby can barely even walk. Like it's definitely it's it's pretty rough. It can be pretty rough, especially in Texas, from what I've noticed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you feel about it? Is it getting better or it's the same? Um,
I like to think that it's getting better. The reason why I think it's getting better is there's a lot more people these days that do love their animals. They look at their animals as part of the family, which is how it should be.
yeah.
Um, because ultimately, those horses, they are a lifelong commitment. And if you're not ready to give that lifelong commitment to them, then don't get them. You know, um, if I'd be pretty upset if somebody just went and, pushed me out on like the sidewalk if I, you know, freaking sprained my elbow and it swelled up for too long. And somebody went out, say somebody put me out on the sidewalk, be like, well, this one
Mm.
can't stay here anymore because I don't like the way it walks, or I don't
Mm.
like the way it moves its arm,
It cost too much money. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that that's a big thing that people need to understand is horses. They're around 1,000 pounds. They're
Mm.
not very cheap. So even though you can get them cheap, you do need to be prepared for the extra medical costs
Mm.
if the time comes where they're going to need the extra medical costs.
Yeah.
hmm I wouldn't say it's so much getting worse. I'd like to think it's getting better. Um, but I also have seen some really, really bad parts of it, uh, that do make me question people's sanity sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. 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 I think it's not only in the horse world.
Oh, yeah.
But I can imagine you're working hard for that to convince people to take care of their horse in the right way. And it would be very nice if you get the facility and can do that.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we are
Yeah.
saving for. And ideally, my goal when all that is going on, it will be rescue, rehab, train, and then adopt,
Yeah.
and that's always been my process everywhere else that I've worked, everybody else that I've worked under, anything like that. It's always been that exact process. So whenever I do have my own facility, it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to play over to my own place. Yeah. Which I love. I was thankful whenever I was younger. That's what taught me a lot about my kind of where I'm at now and the things that I believe in and the way I believe you should treat horses. I have a friend named Kim Thomas. She owns the Thomas Second Chance Horse Foundation. It's a 501(c)(3). It's like a horse sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got like over 100 horses. And I was thankful whenever I was probably 15, 16, I met her. And she has always been so insanely in love with the horses. Like at first you would think off the wall because she just is so in love with those horses. And I just kept hanging around her and then year after year and I learned so much from that woman. And now she's still up in Pilot Point and she's running this giant rescue. And I'm still, wanting to go out and volunteer and help her. It's been about 15 years, but I still want to be there and learn from the person that taught me that type of stuff and all the other people that did that as well. If you surround yourself with the community of people that want to learn and don't take don't take everything to heart so that it comes in the way of you learning, then you're going to be really good. I believe just find that right crowd and stick with them because they'll go to bat for you when you need it. But more of all, they're going to go to bat for the horses. And that's who really needs it.
And you change as a person as well, not only with the horses, but towards other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They after I had my kids, so I started just I wanted to test it out, I was like, I'm gonna treat my horses the way that I treat my kids now. Because I never had kids before this, so I wasn't a kid person before I had kids.
No,
So I started
I know
talking
the
to my,
feeling.
yeah. I started talking to my to my horses like they were my toddlers. And boy, did that change some things. It really did. If you treat your horses with that same type of loving speech that you would your baby, they take to it really well. Like
Yeah.
it's not as threatening, it's not as scary, especially for horses that have been through pretty traumatic events in their life. You want to be softer, you want to be sweeter, and you want to take as much time as you can, you know. The moment you rush is the moment you get hurt. So, um, I would say they definitely do change you. They changed me. I know that they changed me a whole lot. And my horse Sugar, I call her my sister. She's not even my horse. She's my sister. We grew up together. So that's and I firmly believe that we can talk to them. I believe, horses, they have the ability to learn hundreds of words. They have the ability to understand up to what a 5-year-old can. So it makes sense talking to them like they're little kids, and then
Yeah.
uh and they don't forget anything for like 10 years at a time, possibly longer. I think a new study said longer, but they um they have the ability to speak to us, but we just have to learn how to listen. And
That's
when
right.
I say that, yeah, people will look at me and they'll say, "Oh, you think you can talk to horses?" And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I know I can talk to horses. It is all about equine psychology. Look at their body movements, pay attention. They make facial expressions. Pay attention to their eyes, their mouths, everything, their breathing. And the more you practice it, the more you're going to be able to tell what your horse is telling you,
Mm,
you know?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And the more people who realize that, the better.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. So you are planning about that. That's a great thing to have this facility, I'm sure. And I really wish you luck with that.
Thank
If
you.
people want to get in touch with you and get your help, where can they find you? You have a web page or Facebook or something like that?
Yes, ma'am. So they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok under Choctaw Pony Horsemanship. I specialize in natural horsemanship styles. I am more of the person you'd see no bit, no spurs type of person. Um, Not because really I don't believe in spurs, but it's more so I can't use spurs properly, so I don't ride with them.
No.
Simple as it gets,
Mm.
And
Yeah,
um
that's right.
yeah, yeah. And uh I I go for the most humane types of teaching methods that I can come up with. Um I don't want any horse that I work with to feel any type of pain or to come across me in any type of hateful demeanor. I want everything to always go slow. So if you're trying to come to me to get me to break a horse, I don't break
Mm.
horses. I build horses up.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a little longer if you got a horse that bites or kicks or and I mean rough. Like you got a horse that flips over on you.
Mm.
It's going to take a hot minute longer, but that's because we're going to have to completely redo the mindset. We're going to have to erase that old fear and build them up with new confidence. And just like a person, building confidence is not easy and it takes time. So, but they can all find me at Choctaw Pony Horsemanship on basically any social media platform, or um, feel free to reach out to my personal page, Summer Laran Rushing, as well, on Facebook. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yes,
And as you said, it takes time. But if you build the groundwork and get that, everything else will go much faster. I always discuss with people, oh, it takes a long time and I have to back it up again. And
Yep.
yeah, but when you get over that, it will go fast.
It will.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They just have to know that the person that is working with them is going to be a confident leader and most of all, a safe leader. When
Mm.
they follow the leader of their herd, they're running behind them. They're not running away from them. So try and look at the herd dynamic, I'd say to a lot of people as well. Look at the herd dynamic and apply it to yourself.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm so glad I met you, and I wish you luck in your future with all of this. And thank you so much for coming today. Do you have a last words to say before we end it?
Um, I just want to thank you for having me on. I'm happy I was finally able to get on here and see and talk with you. I've been following your videos, and I hope that everybody that sees this will be sure to follow you as well.
Thank you.
Subscribe.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
but I'm just very thankful for you, and I hope that any new horse owner or anybody that is just trying to get extra learning experience or knowledge on their belt sees this. I hope that they take some of it into consideration, and I hope you're able to apply some of my thoughts into your own life as well.
Wise words. Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, Miss Ann.
And thank you to all of you who have been listening and watching this. And as Lara said, uh, that please subscribe because it helps me to get on with this podcast and see people all over the world. So thank you so much and have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.